Yes, people can be interested in new ideas when those ideas are expressed clearly and effectively.
Welcome to the Research and Destroy podcast. Here's what we do. Step 1, we take a subject. Step 2, research the shit out of that subject. And Step 3, destroy the subject as we discuss what we found. With your hosts, John, Adam, and Justin.
Hey, what up? This is John.
Hey, this is Adam.
And I'm Justin. Today's episode, we're talking about the paranormal. And we were really interested in this topic because it's so broad, and it's kind of like a pseudoscience. It's really interesting to ever since we were kids, I think we've been interested in things like Bigfoot and ghost stories and haunted houses and stuff like that. And so this gave us a chance to kind of get into that and read about it.
Now that we've recorded our opinions, I think we should investigate to find out whether or not our opinions are based on good reasons.
John, do you want to start us off today?
You know, I'd love to start you off, Justin. I would always love to start you off. I'd love to start you both off. I really would. So here I go.
You are the worst.
Prepare to be scared.
Oh, I'm ready.
Are you guys ready for this? Or
yeah,
I'm turning on some scary music right now.
Cute.
Ooh.
I'm turning on that "Are You Ready for This" song. the NBA. Yeah. All right, what do you got?
Okay. Well, this basically, so the topic was paranormal. I just got a ghost story, classic. The classic everyday ghost story that
it's simple.
You're kind of like the narrator, like you kind of have to believe them, right? In order for it to even be scary at all. So they could just be lying, but for some reason, these stories are freaking everywhere all the time. You always hear them. Somebody's always got one. I don't have one, to be honest. But this person has one.
So you just said everybody's got one. Well, not me, but like other people.
This is now John's story.
Nothing paranormal has ever happened to me. It's all been pretty much goddamn normal.
Wait, real quick. Is that true?
I can't. I tried to picture in my 36 years if I've ever seen
36. Come on.
What?
36. Come on.
Yeah.
You mean 23.
Well, the paranormal.
Episode over.
So I really tried to think, I don't think I've ever seen anything that really blew my mind and was I can't explain that at all with any sort of rationale.
Didn't you have a cat dig out of its grave once? Didn't that? What? Did that happen?
I think you're thinking of Pet Sematary. It's a very good book by Stephen King.
Yo, I know what I'm talking about. I'm just
talking about. Anyways,
sorry.
So anyways, but I did find a good ghost story from a young Mexican lady. She will go unnamed, or we can call her Consuela. It doesn't really matter.
Why will she go unnamed?
Let's go unnamed.
Because I don't know her name, but I know she's
definitely go unnamed.
But I know
research
she's
the shit out of that subject. What's her name? Nobody knows.
Paranormal. But I know she's a young Mexican girl. She's 14. Consuela over here is 14. Setting the mood, I see.
Yeah,
Consuela is 14, okay? She lives, the whole block she lives on used to be a cemetery in the 20s. That was about 90 years ago, right?
Okay. So this is a pretty modern ghost story.
It is pretty modern. That's why I kind of like it, actually.
Okay.
Because I don't often hear these things, and still nothing paranormal has ever happened to me.
Okay.
So
go ahead. Cool.
So she lives on a block that used to be a cemetery in the 1920s. There was a storm, and so what happened was the remains of the people buried in the cemetery washed out.
Yep.
So obviously no more cemetery. Someone buys the land, builds houses on it, and now you have a block of family things. Typical 80s movie. What's the one with the? Thank you. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah. So, anyways, so she lives here with her family, and they've had tons of experiences here, but she focuses on this one in particular, I guess, because it's the scariest one. So it's a small house, 2 bedrooms. So it's like her and her sister share one, and then their mom has the other, or their parents, I should say, have the other. And then
Consuela
Senior. Consuela. Should I just name all of them just for, context? I don't even know.
No, that's fine.
Anyways, Consuela. Consuelo one morning during breakfast, or if you're Mexican, desayuno.
Oh boy.
So her
really the
mom,
word for breakfast?
her mom is yeah, it is.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Pretty sure. Yeah. Anyway, so her mom is an insomniac, right? Which I think is a good layer to this story, to be honest. So it could explain a lot, but who knows? Who knows? So her mom is an insomniac, and she was explaining to her at breakfast that she just could not get any sleep the night before, which she figured, oh, it's not out of the ordinary because she has insomnia. She actually takes sleeping pills for it. But then she had to pull Consuela to the side to talk to her about this past night, privately, like away from her little sister, right?
Okay.
So pulls her to the side without her little sister in the room. And so she's thinking like, oh, am I in trouble for something? Not the case, obviously. So the little sister leaves the room, and the insomniac mom started explaining to Consuelo what happened the night before. She said she was laying in bed playing games on her tablet. So this is like a very recent story.
Yeah,
by the way.
like a tablet.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So she's just playing games on her tablet. Corner of her eye, she sees someone peek into her room from the hallway. Okay.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I don't like that.
Yeah.
As I'm like looking towards the hallway in my office. Fuck.
Isn't it weird when you like hear these stories, you start like looking around for like someone to be peeking at you? But anyways, so like she sees someone peek from the hallway into her room. So obviously she's like, oh, it's probably just one of my daughters just going to the bathroom or something like that, right? So she didn't think anything of it. But then she saw someone peek around the door again. And then when she looked up, she, thinking it was one of the daughters, she gets up out of the bed, to tell them to go back to bed type of thing. When she got to the door, there was nobody there. So she figured, I know. So this is when she decides to go to their room, each of their rooms.
Nope.
The girl's upside down, head backwards, hanging from the ceiling. God damn it, Consuela, get back in bed.
So goes to their rooms and obviously is super confused because both her and her sister are sound asleep in their beds.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, so you're automatically freaked out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now I'm reading this and I'm thinking she does have insomnia, and people with insomnia who don't get sleep, if you don't get enough sleep, you have a tendency to hallucinate. Mm-hmm. So that sort of stuck in my mind throughout reading this anyways.
Okay. All right. Interesting layer. Yes.
So she dismissed it at first, actually, which I thought was a little, foolhardy, and just goes back to bed.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes, please.
Do you believe in ghosts, John? Even though you've never seen one?
Oh, boy.
Big question,
Man,
I know.
That is a great question. I've never seen them, and I'm a man of science. So my gut tells me that ghosts are not real, but...
Are you moldering it because you want to believe?
I might want to believe, yeah. Okay. But why? But at the same time, why would I want to believe? Like, why do I want there to be ghosts?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why does anybody want there to be ghosts?
I'm trying to get in your head when you're doing this research and seeing like if you're buying it or not.
I try to avoid ghost stories, to be very honest, because you're
terrified of ghosts.
I hate clean sheets.
I hate laundry day. Why is that? Because I hate ghosts. All right,
and the laundry is filled with them.
So you're telling me that she checked on the daughters and
checked on the daughters. Insomnia. They're both in their bed asleep, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Now she has insomnia. She dismisses the whole thing, just goes back to bed, right? Mm-hmm. So a little while later, she sees a person peeking into her room again. This time they walk into her room. Okay. And now it's I'm getting goose pimples now just like reading it again.
So let me just get this straight, because we can see each other on this camera, right? I can see me. I can see what's behind me. Adam can see himself. He can see what's behind him. We can see you.
Yes.
Okay. But you can't see you because you just got the one monitor. Anyways, what were you saying?
Are you guys making faces?
No, we're just watching what's behind you.
Couple of goofballs. Anyway, so I feel like I hate you guys now. Now I'm just paranoid that you're making faces behind my back.
We're not making faces. We're watching in your webcam what's behind your back.
He's looking right now, very cautious.
No. Okay. So what are you saying about the ghost story?
There are 2 pillows behind me. That is it.
And something on the wall. What is that? A poster?
You bastard.
Oh, is your roommate just
anyways.
get home? No. You're like, I don't have a roommate. He died a year ago this very night.
John, did your roommate just come in with the laundry?
He must have spilled it on himself.
It's a unique way to carry it.
Yeah. All right. So the person walks into her room.
Yes, of course. This time the person walks into her room. Okay, and it's a grown woman. Okay, looked like she was wearing a beige. Yeah.
Beige, huh? That's a sexy color.
Paranormal.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Porn.
Can we cut that one out?
Go ahead. So,
anyways,
she's wearing beige bloomers.
So Ghost is wearing a. So this ghost is wearing a beige colored nightgown or dress, which seemed to just be and just seemed to be sort of floating around the bed. Okay, so it's off to the side of the bed and just goes from one side of the bed and floats over to the other. Okay, and just stared at the mom. Okay, now I agree with the mom here.
Doing at this point.
Well, she's insomniac, so she's just laying there watching this happen.
She's just playing with her tablet, like looking up every once in a while.
She's about to win. Yeah. My farm was doing so well, not now.
I swear to God, Ghost, I swear to God.
She's playing a new game called like Candy Ghost Crush. I don't even know.
Scrabble.
Ghost is not happy about this, so Ghost so Ghost comes like from one side of the bed to the other, okay? So she's laying there watching this happen, and she wants to scream, get up, run, can't do it. Just stayed there,
like
frozen
out
in
of
place.
Fear?
Yes, that's my assumption.
Okay.
So just frozen in place, forced to look at this woman, this specter, this apparition in front of her, just standing there staring at her.
Huh.
And she said, details here. The woman was wearing, beyond of course the beige colored nightgown / dress, was wearing a purple headband that was glowing in the dark. Okay. This is obviously, super noticeable, right?
Yeah. Because
it was the only colored thing that was actually on the figure. So after this, the woman floats out, never comes back in. And the mom just like stays in the bed until the sun came up, right? Insomniac, right?
Yeah.
Because she was, and also she was just too afraid to do.
Yeah.
Textbook, right? Yeah. Stayed up all night. Too afraid to do anything, stayed up until the sun came up, basically. So it's creeping me out, like talking about it here. So she's telling this story to the big sister, and she says, "Don't tell your little sister." Right? Obviously, little kids can't handle something like that. They'll never sleep either. Don't want to do that to a little kid.
Yeah, I'm never going to sleep again, so I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, plus the kids would run around would buy some purple headbands and like run into her room at midnight and just like freak her out.
Every once in a while, the air conditioning in my house kicks on, and like my door isn't it's closed, but it like shifts, so it like shifts in the socket or whatever. And I'm like, all right, air conditioning enough.
So Consuela's 14 years old, and I said she was Mexican because she's getting ready for her quinceañera, right? Her 15th birthday.
Yeah.
Big thing amongst Mexican families. So,
right.
So they bought, the mother had bought a bunch of, for the party, glow sticks and glow bracelets and necklaces to give out to the guests during like the dance portion of a quinceañera, which I to be honest, I don't know how quinceañeras go. So I just know there's normally like dancing horses for some reason, but anyways. So,
what?
I don't know.
I kid you not.
Okay.
Quinceañeras, yeah, it's a thing.
Horses, got it.
So mom buys a big bag of glow sticks, glow bracelets, glow necklaces for the dance portion of the quinceañera. Stores them in the back laundry room. Okay. So the mom asks Consuelo to go get the bag of glow stuff. She wanted to count how many they had to make sure they had, make sure they need to buy any more for any more guests. Okay. So she goes to the back. She can't find the bag anywhere. Goes back to her mom, says, "I can't find it." Her mom gets mad, and she just thought the daughter was just being lazy and didn't want to look for it.
Shit out of
sent her back to look for it again. She goes back there again. She can't find it.
This is the 14-year-old?
Yes. So the mom is like, "I'll go look for the bag." She can't find it either. sends the little sister back and the mom's best friend. They can't find it either. And they're like, screw it, let's just go buy more, whatever.
It's a bag of what?
Like glow sticks, glow bracelets, glow necklaces, those things like you crack them, I guess.
Couple bales of hay for the horses.
The dancing, well, and some shoes for the dancing.
Yeah, and we had some tap shoes, obviously.
Anyway, so like later, like months down the road, right? Not even thinking anything of it, Consuela goes into the laundry room, she's getting a shirt out of there, finds the bag of like glowy stuff. Now the bag is the bag is open, okay?
No.
So they look in there, and one of the packs of glow bracelets was open as well. And there's supposed to be 5 glow bracelets in each bag. One of them is missing.
No.
Bruh.
All right. You're not supposed to say no. Yes, and?
Yeah.
All right,
so she knew that her mom or her sister hadn't taken it, obviously, because they couldn't find the bag to begin with. So, and obviously she couldn't find it either. So they knew that none of the 3 of them had ever touched it at all. Later on that day, the mom said to Consuela, she knew that the woman she had seen in her room was the one who took the glow bracelet, because it was around her damn forehead. That was what was glowing on the damn apparition.
My music just kicked in, and it's one of those like screeching like fingernails on glass things, and it was just like the perfect timing.
I have to say the fact that it was one of those like glow bracelets that you wear at a rave really is taking the spookiness out of this for me.
I kind of agree with you. Here's the thing: they never found the missing glow bracelet, and nobody.
And they never lightning crack. Found. Yes, go on.
And
the missing.
The mom has never seen. The mom has never seen the ghost again. So that is that. So, yeah.
That is the paranormal. So what do you think happened, John?
I think this house that was built on like an old 1920s cemetery, ghosts get pissed at that stuff, man. They do not like. I mean, this is just like what?
It wasn't about the quinceañera. Maybe it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, man. Ghosts do not like when their burial grounds are fucked with, plain and simple. And they just, and I don't know if it makes me wonder sometimes, like, in the movies they always make the ghosts out to be angry, but you can't really tell that they're angry. They're just kind of like, well, I used to be dead here, and now there's like a house, so I guess I gotta like be hanging out in the house. And then everybody's like, oh, what is that? But it's like, but the ghost.
And then they beat their children over glow bracelets, and it's terrible.
The ghost is just like, I don't know what the fuck else to do. I just gotta like chill in here now. So when everybody gets scared, obviously. So, man,
that's messed up shit. I will tell you one thing from my research, just real quick. The difference between that I found between technically a ghost and a poltergeist is that a ghost haunts a place and a poltergeist haunts a person. That's what that's what my research told me. So this is definitely a ghost if it's around the burial grounds, unless she was like Latina and then poltergeist probably. Who knows? I don't know what the story is.
Why is that related?
I'm just saying, in general, it sounds like it actually is a ghost and not a poltergeist of the area. Or it could have just been like a raving dancing horse.
Yeah, right. So the woman, hold on. So the woman saw a ghost, and this ghost went into her laundry room, found a bag of glow bracelets, knew enough to do what to do with them, put one on its head, cracked it, like cracked it, made a crown. And then
you're laughing. And then I'm scared out of my mind.
So here's the question that I had, because according to the way that you told the story, I was assuming that the bag of glow bracelets was purchased after the night incident with the rave person. Was that not true? It happened beforehand? The bracelets were purchased beforehand?
Hopefully I told this.
No, you told it right. Yeah, because by the end,
I missed it. I'm sure I missed it.
By the end, he clarified that the mom knew that the bracelets were there before Rave or Ghost.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I was like, is there some time loop ghost thing happening here?
Paranormal.
Not bad, man. So let's see. Adam, do you believe in ghosts?
No.
I also do not believe in ghosts.
I know it's probably like a weird stance for us to think. I mean, I will say that even though I don't directly believe in ghosts, as I grow older, I believe more and more. Not necessarily, but I believe more and more in energies and manipulation of energies. Partially from my keto stuff and other things, but I believe that there are like positive, negative energies that could be kind of transmitted. I don't know if I believe as far as like there's a whole spirit or a soul of a person floating about that I could see. So in that regard, I don't really believe in ghosts, but I do believe in parts of that.
Have you ever heard the thing that, and I don't know how true this is, and it's like something I heard when I was like 11 and was like, this is probably totally true. That like when somebody dies, there's this like, you instantly lose like some, like a pound, like a half a pound or something like that.
Oh, that's 21 grams.
Oh, okay, 21 grams, that's it.
Yeah,
right, so
21 grams.
Which they account for, that's the weight of the soul leaving the body.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what that movie's about?
Yeah. Well, It's Will Smith. Will Smith kills himself. Oh, spoiler!
Oh, my. When did that movie just came out?
No, like 6 years ago. Hopefully.
No, yeah, of course.
Damn it!
Wait, so right after you die, technically your body decreases in weight by 21 grams?
Like if you die on a scale, instantly your body weighs supposedly weighs 21 grams less.
So they say that's the weight of the soul. Yeah.
So that's the soul leaving the body. Dude, who knows?
That sounds.
I don't know.
That's a whole other episode, Adam.
Yeah, but I was wondering if you had heard. I mean, right? We should probably talk about the afterlife at some point, right? All the different theories on the afterlife. True. But it's interesting to think that there's science that could back up.
It is interesting.
Of spirits and ghosts.
But as soon as you die, I read about this recently too. As soon as you die, over the next few hours, your body temperature kind of skyrockets.
Isn't that from bacteria?
Because all the bacteria begin, like breaking down your cells.
Your body stops fighting back, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
So I know that in my brain, I'm thinking, okay, maybe over the next hour or two, when they pull somebody in and then weigh them, or I don't know how they would do this, but if they did that, maybe there's already some breaking down of
tissues or whatever. Huh? I don't know, man. I think that woman's full of horse.
Horse tapping shoes.
Yeah. She's full of dancing horse shit. That's what I think.
I mean, I know that when I had a cat that died when I was a kid, like it shit itself. So like,
but
the shit weighed. But the shit weighed 21 grams.
Oh, brother!
Wow, that is a big cat.
I mean, they've been, in fairness, they have been weighing that cat shit its entire life.
Did you respond with "Oh, brother"?
Well, I'm saying oh brother because I know you did not have any idea how much that shit weighed. Because we've talked about that cat a number of times.
You responded like a Charlie Brown cartoon, though. Oh, brother.
Oh, brother. Yeah. I do not believe in ghosts. I don't even believe in the afterlife. So, you know. But I am not pretentious enough to think I actually know.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen no evidence of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And for me, I still enjoy hearing the stories.
Oh, me too.
Because I just I love stories in general. So right. I think any good, whether it's ghost story or other, ghost stories adds this weird kind of sense of macabre or whatever. Whether it's that or anything else, I just like a good story. So if it's creepy along the way too, then all the better.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, like when I was in elementary school, that's what I would get from the library was books about like unsolved mysteries and missing like the Bermuda Triangle and that kind of stuff. So this is totally up my alley from revisiting that from childhood. And that story, that was a good story, man. I like that.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a good ghost story. Yeah. Especially when somebody is like, I promise this is true. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they were convinced. Do you think she really believed it, or was she just trying to get attention? The Consuela Senior.
To be fair, Consuela never actually saw anything. So
what do you mean?
And
right. Consuela never did. Right. Yes. But
yeah,
Consuela
the mom
Senior
did. Consuela Senior did, and it's Senor and
Senora.
So, but my thing was I tried to apply science to it first. So I was like, she's an insomniac. The brain starts firing off in weird ways when you don't get sleep. She might have just been seeing shit. But then the bag of glow sticks, one is missing. I mean,
But I mean, for all you know, it's just one of the kids misplaced it, and now she's just completely. I think she's associating things. She's finding two things that are not related and being like, oh, okay, here's the connection.
That's the easiest explanation, actually. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
I mean, they just were like, I'm pretty sure we had 5, and like, it's not like they were like, okay, go check the register. You know, they have a whole log of like glow stick inventory that
it's very important for
she's been keeping meticulous records of. Yes. Well, so when Consuela Jr., the little one, they're all named
it's
Consuela.
Junior.
Wait, if a dad has a son, if I named my kid Justin with all the same names, would it'd be Justin Jr.? Is that the same thing for a girl? That's not. No, but you could. They just don't call the girl Junior, right? I
guess legally you could call a girl Junior.
Yeah, it's weird.
You can name somebody anything you want, I guess.
Well, yes, I know. Yeah. They name people Superman, Batman, and stuff. Like, I understand that.
Yeah, but has there ever been like a Jacqueline Jr.?
Right. Yeah, I have no idea. I've never heard that.
Oh, what usually is like Elizabeth II, right? Maybe that's like
that's a queen though. That's different.
Well, I mean the non-queen Elizabeth II. Maybe you just do that numerically.
Well, here's why you can't do that is because typically women take on the man's name. So you can't be a junior because you don't have the exact same name as your mom.
Oh, the exact same name.
Yeah, it has to be the exact same name.
Right, because so like my grandpa was a James Michael? I don't know, whatever it was, but it's the same, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to the How to Name Humans podcast.
Yeah, what the hell are we talking about? Okay, Adam, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Mine is a little bit similar, and we'll talk about that. Well, not quite, but there's some ties to it that actually I will try to weave in there as I tell the story. But
I'm amped about Adam's story. I really am.
Prior to that, I'm going to ask a couple questions. So first of all, I got, as I said before the podcast, I'll mention it here. I got on the trail of looking at some paranormal stuff initially and some kind of famous hauntings, and I was looking at poltergeists specifically, and I found some that were pretty interesting. And I found something else on a website that was somewhat questionable, and then I looked it up on some more legitimate websites and found what I found to be very interesting details. Okay. So I switched topics.
Okay. Cool.
So I'm going to ask you guys a question, and you guys got to individually let me know what you guys think of it. So I will say, when you think of the word Gremlins, what do you think of, Justin?
Obviously, I think of the movie. I think.
Okay. And what do they look like in your brain?
So Gremlins and Goblins seem related, right, in my brain? But they're like little, probably green or brown, grayish green creatures that have wet-looking, leathery skin. They probably have sharp little teeth, eyes, small eyes. They look like a little humanoid creature with kind of claws and yeah. My understanding of Gremlins is they like are very destructive little. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they're like, I think they're portrayed as like spirits that like will come and torment a place.
Okay.
That's about all
John,
I got.
What about you, John?
Is it my turn? Okay. So obviously, Gremlins, the movie, too easy, Justin, too easy.
I know.
I got a more obscure reference for you, my friend. Have you guys ever seen Cat's Eye?
Yeah, It's a horror movie.
Oh my gosh. It's from the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's actually 3 stories in one, right? They're all Stephen King stories. And one of them has Drew Barrymore in it. She's a little girl, okay? And there's a thing that lives in her wall, and at night it just comes out of the wall, and it's like that. No joke. The thing is wearing like a jester's hat with like the little bells that ding on it and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And it crawls up onto Drew Barrymore's chest in the night and steals her breath. This thing is like the most stereotypical gremlin thing I've ever seen. Like when you say gremlin, I think that thing right there. And it's small, like a little bigger than a mouse, maybe, I'd say.
Oh, that's small. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I haven't seen this movie.
So you think of a little jester that steals people's breath away.
But here's the thing. It's
when you put it that way.
but it's like it's not. It stands upright. It's kind of stubby. It's like it's brown.
It's like a person, right?
Brown,
like a creature, like a human.
Yeah.
But
but like a human that's been malfigured. You know, malfigured's not a word.
Malformed.
Malformed. Thank you.
Nice work.
But it's like completely like gross brown turtley looking skin type of thing, just wrinkly and it's bad. It scared me. It still scares me actually. So
interesting. Yes. Staying with you, John. When do you think the concept of the gremlin came into existence, and like how did it come about? If you had like an originating story, like how long ago do you think that happened, and where did that originate?
Where did gremlins come from? Okay, off the top of my head, I want to say somewhere in Europe, and probably from like fairy tales, like Brothers Grimm type stuff, maybe.
Okay, so like, hundreds of years ago then. Yeah,
so I guess what was that, like medieval times? So like the 700. I'm not good with history.
Okay. let's just say a couple hundred years ago at least.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree.
Does that make sense?
Probably in Germany, if I had to guess.
Okay.
Germany.
So Brothers Grimm are from Germany, and they kind of grabbed all those stories from other places. They kind of cataloged a lot of them from around. But prior to that, there had been other people that have told many tales. So you're also in agreement that hundreds of years ago, fairy tales, little buggers.
Yeah, I'm sure that's where they started showing up in fairy tales. Yeah.
Okay.
Like in the 1500s, something like that. Whenever Grimm's from.
I will tell you briefly that you were both wrong. That Gremlins actually originated in the 1920s, and
Shut up.
They originated in England.
There's something on the wing.
Yes, we'll talk about that in a second. And they were never in any fairy tales.
Oh hell!
They're recent creations.
Were they in Gremlin Tales?
They were the stars of Gremlin Tales.
I digress. Continue.
We'll jump right into where Gremlins began. So Gremlins, the word gremlin came from the word gremian or grim, which classically in Old English meant to vex or to annoy.
Why would it be named from Old English if it was from the 1920s?
I don't know. It was well. I guess we'll talk about that in a second. But it did originate in England. Paranormal. Everything in England is just paranormal.
Yeah.
So it actually originated denoting a mischievous creature that used to sabotage aircraft in the Royal Air Force in England. It was slang. It first appeared in the 30s actually, but people said that they had been saying it since the 20s. Amongst British pilots that were stationed in Malta, the homeland, the Middle East, and India, with the earliest published printing of it being from a poem in the journal called Airplane in Malta in 1929. People say that it could have gone back to World War I, but there's no evidence of that. Okay.
Like no recorded evidence.
It could have
been like orally told, but not. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So there's a couple small things about it, but one of the interesting things about it is it was somewhat popularized by Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl used to be in the Air Force for England, and he had some experiences actually, and had been familiar with this quote unquote myth.
For people that don't know, he wrote Green Eggs and Ham.
God damn it.
Yep, that's the one.
We will not be talking about Roald Dahl anymore in this podcast, except for this next part. So he basically wrote initially a story, which we'll kind of go back to. But the original Gremlin was something that people started tossing stories around in the British Air Force. So the people that initially saw it were of the what's the name of it here? Let's make sure. The PRU. The PRU.
It's a branch of the military, Air Force.
Which is, yes, it's a specific name. It's the people that went up very, very high to take images over the different places to like over 10,000 feet to get images of
reconnaissance
Russia.
Unit or something like that, right?
Correct.
They had that back then?
What?
Yeah,
when
I mean,
was
it was
it?
probably a crappy pictures like that. It was like late 20s, early 30s.
It's just a fucking. It's like those daguerreotypes. That's like the old thing with the big like flash that's fire. You know what I'm talking about?
It's just all clouds.
And just blurry as fuck because they like don't move for 10 minutes while this picture takes.
Good job.
Shards
Zach.
of like broken bulbs are falling from the sky.
Sir, how's
We
this
sent you up
intelligence?
there in this $100,000 aircraft.
They put their head under the sheet, and then it's just.
Smile for the Kaiser.
Yeah. Quick, open the sheet for the Kaiser. Long live the Queen.
Oh man. Anyway, they so it originated because people were having issues in these planes, saying that there were weird creatures up there on the wings, on the front of the airplanes and the aircrafts, on the propellers, sometimes inside the aircraft, that were messing up basically like oil lines, propellers, electronics, all sorts of stuff. So it became kind of like something people were talking about it in the Air Force specifically, and then it kind of caught on. Over the years, people were claiming that they had seen them. They differ in size and shape and what they are, but they all kind of, in general, they all did similar things. They were all classified as basically mischievous. They usually, if you were like a very positive flyer and you were doing things correctly and they liked you, they would assist. But if you were very like negative or salty or something weird was going on, they would hinder you.
So did people actually believe in them, or is that what you just said, where they were like it was a fun way to play off malfunctions? So
I was thinking the exact same question when I was reading it too. And there are many, many, many cases that I found of people that were pilots or in the Air Force back then that firmly 100% believe that gremlins are real based on their experiences. Okay, and jumping back to Roald Dahl, he wrote his first children's book that he ever wrote was called The Gremlins. He wrote it in order to hopefully be able to sell it to Walt Disney to make it into a movie. And the Air Force wanted part of the return. Yeah. So it never ended up being made, but he ended up making a book out of it in the end because he believed it, but he also changed it a little bit.
Cut to spinning newspaper coming at you. Headline says, Gremlins drop H-bomb on the Japs.
God. Oh, yes.
Kaiser's on the move.
So Roald Dahl had his own experience where he had a crash land in the Western Desert. And in the 40s, he was transferred to Washington, D.C. That's when he started writing kind of about this stuff. And they were basically tiny men in his story that lived on the RAF fighters.
Yep.
And he also, yeah. So he basically, he ended up writing a book about it and ended up being very popular back in the day, too, during World War II. That was kind of weird, randomly interesting that he was kind of one of the first people to kind of publish about them. But I will say that besides that incident, I have even the original from the Royal Air Force Journal from 1942, one of the first times that they actually publicly announced this from the Air Force themselves.
So even the Air Force was like, this is a real thing. These creatures exist. And so how did they get on the planes? Were they just magically appearing on the planes? Can they fly? What's the explanation for that?
I guess people have said that they've appeared in multiple ways, but they haven't seen them flying specifically. There have been circumstances where they've been on the wings or whatever, kind of like making them turn and tilt whatever in the air. And then like people are trying to shake them off. And people have said that they've been successfully able to do so, shaking them off like
so then off they fly
down below. Yes.
Okay, so is it? Maybe you'll get to this, but is it something where? John, do you have any questions? I feel like I might be dominating the questions here.
No, well, maybe. Adam said he had some sort of relic from 1942, and I'm like, how did Adam get a hold of this? Like, shit.
Adam's a gremlin.
Yeah, well,
it's a wing of an entire plane.
Paranormal.
Yeah. That's funny. I'm gonna cut that. I'm gonna cut you saying paranormal in that creepy whisper, like in the beginning when I'm like, today's subject is, and then you're gonna go
Paranormal.
Oh, side note: the PRU is Photographic Reconnaissance Unit. Just FYI.
Nailed it.
Nice.
Got him. So, anyways, they eventually so I'll get this part right here. So there is a big Battle of Britain, which is a huge kind of air campaign that was waged against the UK by the Luftwaffe in German Air Force during the summer and autumn of 1940. There were a lot of cases of gremlin activities reported. So many, in fact, that the British Air Ministry even acknowledged the problem and made serious attempts to investigate the phenomenon.
Weird.
The ministry even went as far as to have a service manual written up by a gremlorist, pilot officer Percy Prune. An official document that consisted of a list of...
Honey, I got a new job.
I just made up the title. Fuck it, I'm going with it.
Gremlorist, what do you do? Let's just tell people I do something else.
I'm going to sell this to Disney when I'm
I'm
done.
Percy Prune.
I want a divorce.
I'm Percy Prune, Gremlorist for the Royal Air Force.
It tells them how to placate or distract them, and various ways to avoid accidents due to their presence, such as not displaying bravado, arrogance, or overconfidence, which was thought to attract the creature.
Makes sense.
So, that being said, I have the actual official Air Force Journal thing here, which has a lot more than I'm going to mention today. But I can send it to you. It's word for word of what was in the particular journal. And there's conversations of these guys talking amongst one another when they were down off the planes about the gremlin activity. So it's crazy because there's so many different instances of it, and they're talking about it, and they all have something kind of in common about the entire thing. But that being said, there was also a common song, if you will, or like set of lyrics that went along the gremlin story to prove credence, which I don't know why you'd write a song to prove credence or something yet.
We represent the Lollipop Guild, the Lollipop Guild, the Lollipop Guild.
Oh, God.
Completely accurate.
That's what the ghost sounded like with the headband. That voice was scary as shit.
I pictured that ghost with the headband to be like from the 80s coming out of one of those like
Jazzercise courses.
Bowflex commercials. Yeah.
Amazing. Hold on. Were the Gremlins singing a song, or the Air Force people were singing a song?
The Air Force created this song or group of lyrics to give, I guess, credence to the idea and to make it catchy so that people would like remember like who to blame or something. It's very strange. It's very strange. But if you don't mind, I will recite it for you now.
As long as you do it in the Percy Prune voice.
Percy Prune. Hold on.
Extra, extra, I'm Percy Prune.
Do you Maltese people have good British accent impressions?
You want me to do a you're doing like a transatlantic accent, which I may be able to do.
Let's see. Maybe you can just mix them up and see what happens.
This is the tale of the Gremlins as told by the PRU at Benson and Wick in St. Aval. And believe me, you slobs, it's true. When you're 7 miles up in the heavens, that's a hell of a lonely spot. And it's 50 degrees below zero, which isn't exactly hot. When you're frozen blue like your Spitfire, and you're scared of mosquito pink. When you're thousands of miles from nowhere, and there's nothing below but the drink. It's then that you'll see...
Sorry. Dude, this is amazing. Do not stop.
Yeah, you're kind of killing it right now.
It's then that you'll see the gremlins, green and Gambosian gold, male and female and neuter, gremlins both young and old. It's no good trying to dodge them. The lessons you learned on the link won't help you evade the gremlin, though you boost and you dive and you jink. Whites one will wiggle your wingtips. Male ones will muddle your maps. Green ones will guzzle your glycol. Females will flutter your flaps.
Naturally, yeah. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that one.
Bunch of flap flutterers.
It has been so long since I had my flap fluttered, man. I'll tell you.
You're spending all day guzzling glycol.
We're about a little more than halfway through. Pink ones will pitch on your perspex and dance pirouettes on your prop.
Cute.
There's a spherical middle-aged gremlin who will spin on your stick like a top.
Percy, you son of a bitch.
Oh my god. Oh,
Percy Prune reporting in the sexiest gremlin lyrics.
Just coming in. They'll freeze up your camera shutters. They'll bite through your aileron wires. They'll bend and they'll rake and they'll batter. They'll insert toasting forks into your tires. And that is the tale of the Gremlins, as told by the PRU. Pretty ruddy, unlikely to many, but a fact nonetheless to the few.
Dude, that divorce hit him so hard. Oh my god.
I have one thing to say. White people, man. White people.
Yeah, I hear that, yes.
Gremlors and original Eminem, actually. So that was like a thing that, like, I don't know if it made it the airwaves or not, but like it's public enough that it appears in multiple places that they put this out as like a song.
Yeah,
like
they released it.
There are
Sorry, go ahead.
like of that time frame, like of the like World War II time frame too. You know how they had those cool propaganda posters and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them that have to do with gremlins, like breaking stuff and tips for how to keep them at bay. I promise you, I can send you a bunch of them. Dude.
Awesome.
It's really cool. Like, I mean,
I would like to look at. I mean, not right now, but I want to look at those. That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
I kind of want one now, actually.
They kind of want a gremlin.
Which one spins on your stick? That's the poster I want.
Yeah. There's a spherical middle-aged gremlin who will spin on your stick like a top.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh man,
that's the one that
glycol.
That's the one John Leary saw in that dingle dangle hat.
Tinkle tinkle hat.
It was a glow stick. How dare you?
Yeah. Oh, whatever you want to call it, buddy.
Yeah, call what you want.
Tingle tingle.
So kind of in the end to get near the end of the story, it's something that the pilots from that era specifically. So it wasn't just the British too. I mean, there were reports from German Luftwaffe having similar circumstances, and also American airplanes and pilots during around that time of before World War II and World War II also reported similar things. The Gremlins took different sizes and shapes and kind of did different things on the aircrafts. But in general, they kind of were used either as maybe partially as scapegoats for just stuff going wrong with the old, technical things, or, back then the air sealing in some of these airplanes when you go very high up wasn't as good as it is nowadays. There may have been also kind of similar to John's story. There may have been some kind of like high altitude hallucinations for some people, especially in the initial units.
That's what I was thinking. It was like maybe the planes they were building didn't really provide enough oxygen and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say like planes were brand new back in World War I, basically, right? Like that was like we had just invented planes, and now we're like, let's also invent warplanes for warring. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah. I mean, and these guys that originally found it too are, the photographing people are like 10,000 feet up. Like they're fucking high up there, right? Like that's the people that originally found it.
Yeah, I bet that's low, like not pressurized enough or something, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, to put our logical hats on, it makes sense that was started, and then people were like, when things go wrong that they can't explain, or like Joe Schmo over there just like fucks up and presses all the buttons at the same time, and you're like, oh, fucking Joe. Then you can just be like, oh, the Gremlins did it. And then there's like nobody to blame.
I thought it was that. Some your doofus co-pilot or whatever, and then you're like, or the mechanic on the ground or whatever, and you're like, it's the Gremlins.
People, and there was a quote recently that I can't find at this point in time, but there was somebody who did some research on this after the fact, and they basically said that this actually was probably whether or not Gremlins are real. The fact that they had stories about them and the Air Force was able to kind of blame some of these faults on the Gremlins, whether true or not, it actually aided the morale of the troops to a good degree,
like a common
where they had something else. Yeah, it was like common enemy that they could blame for certain things that was kind of allowed them to keep the morale up too. So that was kind of interesting, because I was just like, I didn't think about it that way initially. It was just kind of like, oh, it's just stories for fun and like something to talk about in the trenches or whatever the shit. But
it started as a like that, like they were just literally blaming the dumb mechanic And then it became like this thing where like, hey, I don't have to accept responsibility for the problems I'm causing. And then the actual leadership was like, well, we can use this to become a common thing that's like the boss we all hate.
Yeah. My other guess as to where the word gremlins might have come from, or my second guess would have been that it was some like weird racist term that they use for one of those races that people like are all cool with nowadays, like Irishmen or something like that. You know what I mean? Keep the gremlins off our shore. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Potato gremlins.
So when you send that poster and they look like leprechauns basically. Like, shit.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting, and that it appeared that it was so recent too, because I always thought it was like some classic fairy tale thing too, like Ages. Goblins or whatever the crap, and fairy tales. But I have taken quite a few different classes on old fairy tales and stories in German and Russian perspectives throughout the years. Sorry about that, I had to throw that in there. But I can't recall any circumstance about there being gremlins in any of those stories either. So it makes a lot of sense.
Huh. That's really fascinating.
It's really strange. And there's just some awesome pictures and quotes. There's one that I did some research on because there was one that was quoted. There was a guy that was an old RAF pilot, and he has some other theories. And he was telling about the story, which I have since debunked during my research portion, that there was this airplane that left San Diego to go to Honolulu in one of these older planes. And a couple hours later, they lost contact with the plane. And then a couple hours later after that, the plane came back. And I think it was all like 12 out of the 13 members were all shot and killed. And the side of the plane was kind of like scratched up and scuffed up. And their pistols were all discharged. And the only guy that was alive was like this co-pilot who was also shot but was still alive and managed to land the plane. And then like they brought him to the hospital and he died like on the way to the hospital. Jesus. And there was like no other way to explain it. So they thought there was some kind of weird malicious activity going on. However, that guy also has told some very strange stories in the past, apparently. And people say that like he's kind of crazy. So I tried to find some evidence of that. And there was some other evidence of things like that, but not that specific circumstance.
Huh. That's So wait, so they
the spicy meatball, right?
It's a spicy meatball, yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, they were trying to blame that on Gremlins?
Yeah, he basically said there was no other explanation.
Weird.
I mean, going to Hawaii. I mean, what else is going to happen?
What happens in Hawaii stays in Hawaii, right?
But he didn't even get there. It's got to be Gremlins.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. Well, I agree. No, debunked stamp.
That was quick. It only took 30 minutes for me to convince you of that.
Yeah,
I imagine like the first white guy that lands in Hawaii sees the natives and is like, "Oh, gremlins!" You know?
Turns around, shoots all of his buddies in the face, gets back to San Diego.
Honey, how was your trip? Not good.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the Gremlin story. There's some other just random things that are interesting too, but I'm not going to list them here. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting and cool. Yeah. The kind of the originating story of how Gremlins started out. And the movie doesn't really tell it like it is. It's just kind of its own thing.
It's a smear job. Their cover up.
It's a smear job, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you telling me Cat's Eye can't happen?
It could. I don't think that's supposed to be a gremlin, though, is it? Or do they call it a gremlin in the
Man,
movie?
They don't call it anything. That's the thing.
Was it on an airplane? Was this also in Langoliers, the movie, where Stephen King on the airplane?
It actually kind of looked like a Langolier. It just didn't eat the ground up, or whatever Langoliers did. Yeah, so.
It just took Drew Barrymore's breath away.
Oh, it's a romance.
To be fair, Jim Carrey once took Drew Barrymore's breath away, so it doesn't take much.
Let me ask you, in the Cat's Eye, this is not about your thing, Adam. In Cat's Eye, the cat like saves the day, right? Like that's how this is the whole story. Okay, I have seen that movie, but I don't remember it.
The idea is the cat appears. It's a movie of 3 different movies, right? It's like 3 different stories within one movie, and the cat shows up in each story and has a crucial part to play. So
okay, all right, yeah. I've seen it, but I was like a little kid, and it terrified the shit out of me.
Paranormal.
Oh, so good. Right, so my thing. Are you guys ready to move on to the next thing?
Yeah, real quick before we do.
What you got?
Let me give it a little bit of this flavor.
Oh, so yeah, we're looking at the Gremlins are floor greasers. Watch your step. Back up our battle skies.
Back up your battle skies.
Yeah.
Back about battles.
Gremlins are floor greasers. John, sometimes I think you're a floor greaser. All right, so far this episode, we have covered some really interesting things. Gremlins think it's fun to hurt you. Use care always. Their whole campaign was like some genius was like, Edwards, we need a campaign. He's like, well, I don't know. How about back up our battle skies? Battle skies? Is that even a word? Edwards, you son of a bitch.
They did make it one word, and I kind of like that. A battle sky.
skies.
Like there's a normal one.
God
Yeah.
knows.
I got a whole song about it.
No.
Well, it's not so much a song as a prose. God damn it, Percy! Get him out of here. What was it? Was named Percy, right?
Yeah, it's like Percy Buttons or something like that.
Fuck, I can't find his name now.
I'll look it up afterwards.
Yeah, Percy Prude or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So, okay. So we've covered some really interesting things. Our topic was the paranormal. And for like full transparency or whatever, we started as just doing like hauntings, mysterious hauntings or ghosts, and I think not John, but the rest of us deemed it too challenging. John did a good. You did a good job though. I was riveted.
Yeah.
Just trying to set the mood, boys.
Well, you
You
nailed
said
it.
it good. I got this audio still rolling over here, by the way, and it is fucking creepy.
Nice.
I'm prepared.
So, yeah, you are. So we did ghosts. We did Gremlins. What did you set out to research first?
I found the Black Monk of Pontefract, which was an old haunting that was he was a poltergeist.
Oh, okay.
Haunting in also England, I believe, too. Yeah.
And that's when your initial. That's how you learned the poltergeist on people. Oh, okay.
It's still an interesting story too, but I had to tell the origin story of Gremlins.
That's really good. I did not know that.
I had to tell it. So.
All right. Well, we're about to step into a few things that I think you will all be interested in. The big thing here is demonic possession.
Yep, that's my thing.
Yes. All right. So we're going to go back in time a little bit to the late 1960s, early 1970s. Germany.
Spoiler alert, Justin will use the phrase, your mother sucks cocks in hell, Karis.
Is that from The Exorcist?
It's The Exorcist, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
I heard Back in Time by Huey Lewis in the News, to be honest.
Yeah. I use that phrase enough in my everyday life. I don't need to use it on the podcast. All right, so
You have a young son.
well, how else is he?
Don't. I saw where you were going with that. I was like, let's back the truck up, Justin.
Yeah, all right. God damn it, Adam. All right, so what I'm talking about is a woman named Anneliese Michel. Mickel. I don't really know how to pronounce it. It's a German name. She was young, and she was supposedly possessed by demons. And beginning at 16, that's when she first kind of got the symptoms of being possessed, and it grew worse over nearly 8 years. When she finally lost her battle with evil during a prolonged Catholic exorcism, she died at the age of 23. So I'll give you a little bit of backstory here. She was born in 1952. She grew up in a devoutly, somewhat extreme Catholic family. And she was kind of a pretty girl, normal, bright smile, all those things, dark hair, just to kind of paint you a picture here. And when she was 16 years old, she was in high school, and one day she had convulsions. And soon after that, it was noted that it was a seizure, and she was diagnosed with epilepsy by a neurologist. So she started taking medicine for her condition, and she tried to continue her life to the best of her ability. She finished high school, went on to college, where she was studying to become a teacher. But the medicine did not really seem to be helping her, and her problems didn't go away. Over time, Anneliese, she complained of seeing disturbing visions while she was saying her prayers. And it's kind of interesting to talk about her religion a little bit. Her mom had an illegitimate child, and had another child before Annalise was born, who died at the age of 8. And so Annalise, as a younger child, was trying to like atone for her mother's sins. So she's kind of fucked up in the head anyways.
This is already the most German story ever told, by the way.
Is this in Germany?
It was taking place in Germany in late 1960s, so like 1967, 68, that's when she was 16. So she turned so she turned 16, or not turned 16. It's not the same day. It's not like her birthday. Happy birthday! Whatever. So let me stick to the damn story. So yeah, so she started seeing these disturbing visions while she was saying her prayers, seeing like evil faces in places, and she would see like horrifying things. And then later she would start hearing evil voices giving her commands.
Like wash the dishes, or
I'm good at probably like evil commands.
Tap dance like that horse.
Hide in a plane and take it apart once it goes up in the air.
Right. So her family, initially she was being treated like a psychiatric patient because they didn't think it was demonic possession. Initially, they thought it was, she had this medical condition. That's what the doctor said. But she began suffering from depression and began hallucinating while praying, and complained about hearing voices telling her that she was damned and would rot in hell. And her treatment she did spend some time in a psychiatric hospital, but it did not improve her health, and her depression worsened. Long-term help did not help either. She grew increasingly frustrated with like medical intervention. She was taking drugs for this for like 5 years. And she began to attribute all of this behavior to demonic possession. She even became intolerant of like Christian sacred places and objects like the crucifix. I don't know. It's really interesting.
Yeah. So was she only experiencing these weird demonic words when she was praying, or was that just like when it was most prevalent?
I think the visions were during her prayers. She would pray, and she prayed a lot. Like there's a term that I used when I was reading about her, and it's called genuflections, and it's the act of bending or kneeing or touching the ground in order to reverence or worship. Like you see people do this where they kneel down and like touch the ground. Mm-hmm. And she started doing it. Like she would perform hundreds of these rituals as she walked around. Right. So like she was like an extreme Catholic, and so she was praying a lot, I guess is the point. So she maybe was seeing them all the time. It doesn't really communicate that to me.
I would assume that like if you're a Catholic like that too, and you're hearing demonic voices, you probably pray more, right? Like you're just like, I gotta get this out every.
Yeah,
I gotta get this ghost out. Okay, gotcha.
Right. Yeah. So, she there was at one point she went to a place called San Damiano with a family friend. She was going on a Christian pilgrimage, and the person that was with her noticed that she would like shy away from like the crucifix, and she wouldn't drink water of the holy spring. Like she would like purposely like keep a distance from like the visions of Jesus and all this stuff, where she would like she was, the demon inside her, I guess what the idea is. The demon inside her was had an aversion to that.
In her defense, a cross is a goddamn torture device, and there's a half-naked dude hanging from it. Like, do I have to be comfortable around that? I mean, come on. Like, I don't know. I hate church.
So one time, there was an older woman, it was a family friend of hers, that noticed that while she was on these pilgrimages with Annalise, that she smelled, in quotes, hellishly bad.
Okay, that's an adverb that suggests a little too much, I would say.
I read, who the hell is this uppity woman?
So Consuelo's mom was laying in her bed, and a ghostly apparition came at her. Like, well, like you gave
daughter's
away.
like, Mom, I'm thirsty. Yeah. And so she took her to see some priests, and many of them said Annalisa needed a doctor. But after seeing a number of priests, one of them finally said she needs an exorcism. She's possessed by a demon, and they asked for it for a long time for an exorcism, and like the bishop of the area would not allow it. And after,
why?
Because I don't think they really do exorcisms. Like I think exorcisms, if they're illegitimate, if they're obviously illegitimate, that they would kind of take away the credibility of the Catholic Church. So they're really wanting to do. I know, but they're really trying to.
Gremlorist and exorcist.
but in your thing, they like believed it, you know.
Oh yeah.
So it's really interesting because like they had to like ask a lot of times, and eventually the bishop. So there's these two priests, a priest named Ernest Alt and I lost track of the other dude. Two priests walk into a bar. And they asked this bishop if they could do this exorcism, and eventually he says yes. And so they start doing exorcisms, and I didn't realize this, but there is like a specific like documentation on how to perform exorcisms. It's called the Roman Ritual 1614. Do you know about it?
I'm sorry, I almost stepped on your whole story there. But
what do you know about it?
It's called the Roman Ritual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, why do you know that?
The Exorcist.
Oh, okay.
So the movie's a classic, boys. Acquaint yourselves.
I've seen it.
He's like, I don't believe in ghosts, and for the next 20 minutes, he's just like, what if I believe in ghosts? What if I believe in ghosts?
Well, so the Roman Ritual, I'll tell you a little bit about it because it was pretty interesting. When I saw that, like I was like, oh shit, there's like real documentation about it. So the Roman Ritual is one of the official ritual works of the Roman Rite, RITE, of the Catholic Church, and it's like a book that has it contains all of the services which may be performed by a priest or deacon. And so in this, it's essentially every ritual they do, but in that is crucifixion. And they talk about what is a exorcism in the Catholic Church, what does it look like? And the Catholic Church, they authorize the use of exorcism for those who they believe are the victims of demonic possession.
So
go ahead.
So this is like something that has been written down in the books for a while, but no one really wants to do it because it's kind of strange to do so. It's like the restricted section of books that there's like, we can do this stuff because it's written down somewhere and we kind of treat it that it's like legitimate, but I don't want to do it.
Well, so the kind of like it's the idea is they don't want to like overdo it because I think a lot of people falsely claim they're possessed by demons. Like, depending on if you believe in it, everybody's falsely proclaiming. But like every time somebody gets mad, they're like possessed by a demon. They present everybody that saw a gremlin was possessed by a demon.
Yeah.
Then what?
Yeah.
So it's called
lost the war.
Extra, the demons are possessing the gremlins possessed by demons. Yeah. The first official guidelines for the exorcism, this is why it's called the Roman Ritual of 1614, is because that's when it was established, was that far back. They've been revised, and they were revised all the way up until 1999. So they still have like an official how to perform an exorcism IKEA manual,
1999?
Yeah, like that's pretty recently. I mean, I know it was 20 years ago, but that's
recent enough.
Yeah. Like it wasn't in like the 50s before they had, internet.
Yeah.
Must have boombox in background playing Backstreet Boys while exorcism takes place.
Yeah. You are. Okay.
Hellfire.
Beautiful. So, and it was actually, they created the guidelines because it was in demand. It increased in the 15th century, and Catholic exorcists were both priestly and some exorcists were not actually Catholic. They were just, people that were exorcists. And since every Christian was considered as having the power to command demons and drive them out, you didn't necessarily have to be in the name of Christ, you didn't necessarily have to be a priest to do it.
So any Christian technically, by that right, can exorcise demons.
I guess so, if they know what they're doing.
Well, they just need to know how to read, right?
So they would use this thing called Vede Retro Satana, which means step back Satan. What did you say?
I mean, they just need to know how to read, right? I mean, it's all written down.
Well, baby steps.
Baby step back Satan.
Yeah, baby step back Satan. God. So exorcisms. So basically, there's like this guideline. According to the guidelines that were issued in 1999. So I know this is after the events of the story I'm telling, but I kind of wanted to talk about exorcism a little bit in general. So this is what has to happen. The person who claims to be possessed must be evaluated by doctors to rule out mental or physical illness. Most reported cases do not require an exorcism because they only regard genuine demonic possession as extremely rare phenomenon that is easily confounded with natural mental disturbances. So essentially, if you're crazy, then they were like, okay, well, you're crazy. This is not a demon. But if they rule all that out,
they would just put like leeches on your forehead or something like that, and just like try to suck out the demons that way. Yeah, standard wooden teeth, all that stuff.
So even though they usually rule out a lot of them, and in spite of that fact, or despite that fact, every diocese is required to have at least one priest that is an exorcist. Useful.
Wait. Now that guy gets bullied in the goddamn pulpit. You know what I mean? Like the other priest just they just put him in the confession room and just prank the shit out of him. You know what I mean?
Under his robe, he has like steel-studded boots.
Yeah,
he's got like black eyeliner on.
Like they come in and they find him like with super wedgied on top of the cross.
Starring Keanu Reeves.
That's literally a movie, right?
Yes, it is.
Called Constantine.
Constantinople.
Yeah.
Is this still true to this day, or do you have everyone has to have a?
Yeah. Yes, I think so. I mean, that's the latest. My latest records indicate.
This is like one of those things.
Hi, I'm John Larry, and I'm a card-carrying exorcist.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, this is one of the few circumstances besides like how awesome church architecture is that I would want to go into a church and look around to try to find that guy.
Yeah, he's the one with the bat with nails in it. So even though they, despite the fact that they're all supposed to have that, and that the demand for exorcisms has increased over the past few decades, and the number of trained exorcists has also risen. Prior to that, exorcists were kind of kept fairly anonymous, and the performances of exorcisms remained a secret. But some exorcists attribute the rise in demand of exorcisms to the rise of drug use and violence. So they kind of think like, it's not really demons, or maybe I guess I don't know. Maybe they think that doing those things lets the demons in. It's not really clear to me. Because you can rule out mental illness, but like drugs isn't really mental illness, I guess.
Yeah.
But let me read you a couple signs of a demonic invasion, is what they call it here.
Let me check these boxes.
Yeah, see if you guys are demonically possessed real quick.
Got it.
Right.
Check, and check.
Loss or lack of appetite. John? Nope.
No.
Cutting.
Nope.
All right.
Just
cutting.
ate.
Yeah, cutting, scratching, or biting of skin. A cold feeling in the room. Unnatural body postures, and the change in the person's face and body. So far, any of you guys possessed? Stop making faces at me, Adam.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay. So changing the
It
person's
just sounds
voice.
like a yoga studio.
It does. It's kind of chilly, and usually those are kind of like nice warm things, right? So
I'll say.
this was like the most obvious. The possessed person losing control of their normal personality and entering to a frenzy or rage and or attacking others. Okay. But I guess that could be attributed to mental illness, right? A change in the person's voice. Do it, John.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell, Karis.
Supernatural physical strength. Not subject to the person's build or age, so they're like demon strong and not just people strong.
Dang, that's blatantly obvious.
Yeah, well, like you're like, okay, so you like sometimes like a mom, if like their kid gets trapped under like a fridge that falls over, they can like lift the fridge even though they wouldn't be able to either.
Oh yeah.
That can be like so that happens in regular people where like an adrenaline rush lets your muscles do things they normally couldn't do.
I've seen it.
So we're up to number 8: speaking or understanding another language which they had never learned before. Knowledge of things that are distant or hidden. I don't really know what that means. What do you think that means?
It's like knowing something is I've actually. That's funny you say that one because there's stories of like, oh boy, it's getting deep here. there are stories of Hindu like shaman or like medicine men or like what would you call like a guy who like meditates
right.
all the damn time. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I think those are probably some of the right terms.
There's stories of them like whenever like Americans go over to India in the 60s and they're like this guy we locked him in a room, but then someone came from the next town over and said they saw him walking over there. So
that's astral projection or whatever you're just talking about, right?
There's that, but then there's also there's one guy who said he was an American. He went over there and he's studying under this shaman, medicine man, whatever you want to call him, and he's never met this guy before. But this guy said, "Your mom died of cancer of the kidney or cancer of the bladder," stuff like that.
Just unprompted, he said that. That's rude.
Yeah, and they're like, well, what he's trying to prove to him is that like, yes, I am a magical person. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
he's like,
or it's just John Edwards.
He's just knowing the unknowable, right? Or he's gaming them.
Yeah, doing that thing where he's got the audience. And he's like, I'm sensing a K name over here. I'm Katie. He's magic. You know what I mean?
I'm sensing your mother died of a. Oh shit. So one other thing is prediction. So we're up to number 10. Prediction of future events, sometimes through dreams. Makes sense. Yeah. Levitation and moving of objects. Expelling of objects? What does that mean?
It's 21 grams, my friend.
But okay. An intense hatred and violent reaction towards all religious objects or items.
Well,
antipathy towards entering a church, speaking Jesus' name, or hearing scripture. So those are the signs.
I pretty much have antipathy towards that stuff. I'm like, whatever,
Yeah.
But
some of these are symptoms of a vampire as well. Let's put this into perspective.
Well, I didn't follow that rabbit hole, but probably right.
She's in Germany. She's getting close to Tristan. No.
All right. So let me talk to you a little bit about the process of an exorcism. Yeah, so I think this is where I kind of I don't really buy into religion, as Christianity or any religion, but Christianity. But I really like religious symbolism. Like I like the
It's fun.
Well, it's not, but like Revelations has a lot of really cool imagery. I like seeing that depicted as like the God coming down and smashing the earth or whatever. I think that's all very cool. So like exorcism kind of is like that too.
Angels fighting gremlins in the sky type of thing. Yeah,
one can fly, one can fall.
It's like
live.
This is like the old superhero movie, the old Marvel comics for you.
Pretty much, yeah. It's ye old Marvel Comics issue number 1.
I'm possessed by Daredevil.
Dude, Jesus' origin story is dope. What's his superpower? Well, he has 12 friends in his mid-30s.
Back then, quite an accomplishment to even make it to your mid-30s, man. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
All right, what's your new steps?
Okay. So those were the signs. So the process is the exorcism of the person possessed. They may be restrained so that they don't harm themselves or any other people. The exorcist then prays and commands the demons to retreat. The Catholic priest recites prayers of Our Father, Hail Mary, and I actually don't know what this word is. Athanasian Creed? I'd never even heard of that one. The other two I knew. Probably because it's super hard to say, and the other ones are real easy to say. That's probably why I've heard the other two.
like Athanasian Creed, I'm assuming it has to do with Athens, right?
It's not spelled the same. It's Athan.
Never mind.
So I don't know what it's from, but
so
okay.
Really fast. Real fast. Since we're going into this, are we assuming that this girl we're talking about, ticked all those boxes?
I think she ticked some of them.
Okay.
I don't know. It's not that you need to have every one of those. It's not like, 13 or 14, you're not possessed.
Yeah.
I think that it's... Oh, yeah. Okay. So where were we? So they do those prayers. The exorcist follows these procedures listed in the ritual of the exorcism from the Ritual Romanum, which is what it's called in a cooler way. So that's the exorcism revised. It was revised in 99 by the Vatican, and seasoned exorcists use the Ritual Romanum as a starting point, but they don't always follow the formula exactly. The The Gale Encyclopedia of the Unusual and the Unexplained describes that, as what I read, that an exorcism was sometimes a confrontation and not simply a prayer. So they're like confronting the demon in this person. And once it's begun, it has to finish no matter how long it takes, because if this is what they believe. If the exorcist stops the rite, again, R-I-T-E, then the demon will pursue him, which is why the process being finished is so essential. They like believe
That's
that like
what happens in the movie.
Dude,
Really?
no
Yeah.
wonder nobody wants to fucking do this shit.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, no shit. And so after the exorcism has been, so they do all these things where they're like holy water and commanding the demon out, and apparently that power in that every Christian or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
they have that power to do it. So if the exorcist stops the rite, it'll pursue them. And after the exorcism has been finished, the person possessed feels a kind of release of guilt and feels reborn and free of sin. It's a quote. But not all exorcisms are successful the first time. It could take days, weeks, or months of constant prayer and exorcisms.
With that guy, that exorcist guy, the guy who's been elected to do the exorcism, he has to take days, weeks, or months to keep this thing
I mean,
rolling.
it could be a team of people. Who knows? Like sometimes it doesn't work and they're still possessed.
And they're waiting for the person that they're trying to exorcise the demons from to say, "I feel good."
And I knew that I would, right?
Right.
No.
So they're just wait. They're like, "You feel good now? You guys feel good yet?" I've done
So
like 3
good.
billion Hail Marys.
So good.
Dun, dun.
Yeah. All right. So yeah.
She's like, "Are you even taking this seriously? I've been at this for 7.5 weeks." All you have is this terrible German
They're
music.
just the power of Christ compels you. Are you there yet? I'm close. I'm real close.
Close. I'm real close.
All right. So I'm gonna. So now we've kind of. Do you have any questions about that? I'm not sure how much more I can answer, but it's interesting seeing that they have like this all like. I mean, I guess they're pretty they document a lot of stuff, right? They're all
Yeah.
about a book, so.
So we're under the assumption right now that this process is going on with Our Lady.
Yeah, so all those things are happening. So now I'm going to start talking about. We haven't gotten to that yet, but
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll jump back to Annalise's story. So in 1975, she's 22, I think. She and her parents stopped seeking medical attention because they had asked for the exorcism, and after a long time, eventually the exorcism was granted. So in 1975, they stopped seeking medical advice and gave over Annalise's fate to the Roman exorcism ritual. Annalise, the priest, and her parents truly believed she was possessed. So they really thought she was possessed. And Annalise said that Judas, Nero, Hitler, Cain, Lucifer, and others were inside of her. Full house.
Oh my god.
And so I'll just run through that list real quick. Judas, Nero,
So is that it? Like those are the only people inside of her?
and others. So
What
over
a slut.
okay, so over the next 10 months, Father Arnold Renz and Pastor Ernst Alt, the most German names you've ever heard, performed 67 exorcisms on the girl. And the thing I read said it was important to note that every action taken during these rituals was condoned by Annalise. She wanted them to get the demons out of her.
67 times.
That's a lot. Over 10, like how many is that a day? So 10 months. Let's make it. You do the math for me real quick.
That's a lot, but so much so that I mean, where do you? I guess you draw the line at 67, but why?
Well, I'll tell you why. Let me get there. I'll tell you. I actually will shed some light on why stop at 67. Sometimes the seriously ill Annalise would perform hundreds of genuflections. So that's the kneeling stuff during these rituals. That's when she was really like praying and trying to touch the ground. It's rumored that her parents, she was so weak, sometimes her parents would actually have to help her stand back up after them because she was very malnourished because she had loss of appetite because of the, she read the first one on the list. She was like, well, I got to do that one, I guess.
that's me. I got to commit now. This
Yeah.
place is so hot. I can't deal with that.
Yeah. She was just trying to get medical marijuana, and she's like, sometimes I lose my appetite.
Okay, we get it. Yeah.
All right. Which is not really, it makes sense because she had stopped eating altogether for some time because she believed it would lessen the evil's control over her, not eating. Do you have any idea why that would work? I couldn't understand that.
By not eating, the demon will not have control over her.
Like it would lessen
it. It sounds like some sort of like guilt, shame-ridden thing, like, like gluttony, like gluttony is like eating too much food. I don't know. Am I in the ballpark?
I'm thinking of it like you're having a baby, right? Like if you had a baby inside of you, the baby eats off that food. So maybe it's just like, I'm not going to feed the demon inside me. The demon Hitler.
I think
his umbilical cord is attached directly to me.
I think feed the demon, I think, is a slogan for an energy drink.
I was going to say it sounds like a metal band, and I'm pretty sure I heard that song.
What is the guy? I'm Jim Matthews. And we are feed the demon.
Don't feed that demon, man.
No. So there are claims. So I don't know how like on board you are with her being actually possessed or not, or is she just crazy? And then they're buying into it with the thing. But there are claims that she spoke several different languages, or I guess the demons and souls trapped inside her did during the exorcisms. But I think there are tapes. They're like audio tapes of this. So she doesn't speak any of these languages in the tapes.
No.
She does say things though. She does say there's a video of her saying some like fucking scary stuff. Like the voice, it's terrifying. She 10 months of exorcisms, 67 exorcisms. You asked why did they stop? Well, she died.
Wow, that just rode off a cliff pretty quick. Wait, from not eating?
Yeah, so she died of dehydration and malnutrition. In 1976. So she started in 1975 and she was 23 years old. She weighed at the time of her death 68 pounds.
Oh my.
And her father and her mother and the exorcists were charged with homicide.
Oh.
Or they called it negligent homicide.
Yeah.
But Germany has a lot of interesting rules about they have a lot of interesting rules about how people get like sentenced. Mm-hmm. So like the parents didn't get anything. They'd suffered enough, like the German justice system. They'd already done their time.
Punishment was time served. Yeah,
Right,
I get it. Yeah.
What about the Exorcist though? Did Exorcist get time?
They were convicted to 3 years in jail, and then I think that it got shortened, like super shortened, and they were just on probation for 3 years.
Dang, dude, that's
during the trial, it's pretty interesting. During the trial, evidence of the possession worked both for and against the defense because 42 of the exorcisms were audio recorded.
I'm sorry. Did they arrest the priest for possession?
That's hilarious.
And I'm switching my mic off.
Yeah. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. So 42 of them had audio recording, and there were various pictures of like her looking like really sick and bruised and covered in sores. And in the tapes, she is horrifying, which really works for the defense because that she was possessed. She looks possessed. Like the pictures of her are scary as shit. Like it's like just I don't even know how to describe it. I'll have to send you some pictures here in a minute. But let me see if I can find. Maybe I can find.
I'll close my eyes.
Yeah. Did you not like that stuff?
Yeah, that stuff freaks me out.
Well, I won't do that then because it's somebody basically dying. Fun. Right?
How old was she?
23.
Send it.
It's like, I'm not happy about this. Zip. You are a goddamn monster. Oh my god.
You know what I like about young dead 20-year-old girls? I get older, they stay the same age.
Jesus Christ. You nasty.
I'm sorry, not sorry.
42 of the exorcisms were audio recorded. There were pictures of her looking like sick, but she also looked possessed. So if you look at that picture, she looks kind of really normal, like a normal person. If you see the first before picture and then the after picture, she looks kind of Terry Schiavo-y. actually, to me.
The after picture is it's like, oh please don't talk to me. I haven't had my coffee yet. You know what I mean?
But like in a language she doesn't know.
God damn it.
Because Hitler knows it. Why would demons know other languages? Like Hitler spoke German, right? She's German.
Yeah.
Like what?
Good call. Yeah.
I mean, whatever. Whatever. I guess that's because that's an evil person in her mind. Because I guess she didn't grow up during it really. Because she was born in 52.
Why are they always invaded by like a famous evil person?
Yeah.
Why isn't there like random white slave owner or something from the 1800s? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
sorry, if you have that other thing with the demon checkbox where you know other things that you shouldn't, wouldn't you know other people that you shouldn't?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. I just you'd think, but so if this is real, if demon possession is real, one of the interesting things I found was that the thing that they kind of realized the tapes made clear that she was really sick. She was ill and no one was making her eat. And a doctor had said that even a week before she died, if she had gotten some medical attention, then she would have survived. Like they could have nourished her back to health or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But even so, it said it's certain that possessed or not, Annalise should have been cared for better. Duh.
True.
True. Right. So it's interesting. The trial it started in 1978, and because of the nature of like murder by exorcism, drew like a lot of media attention. Before the court, doctors testified that she was not possessed, stating that this was clearly a psychological effect because of her strict upbringing and epilepsy and her just going crazy, I guess.
This never happens in like any other religion.
Does it?
Like you almost have to be Christian to get possessed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's convenient.
Right? Like there's no possessions in like the Hindu religion or like Buddhism or anything. You know what I mean? Like
really
nobody gets
convenient.
possessed over there.
Yeah.
What's that?
I'm just saying it's really convenient.
Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, it's convenient.
Or maybe there's there's an assumption that, you know, since there are these quote unquote devils or whatever that you can get, you know, invaded by, then the only way that you can get them to infest your body or whatever too is by believing in them in the first place. I don't know. Maybe there's an assumption there.
Yeah.
Plus, I think the Buddhists don't believe in owning anything, so no possessions.
Yeah.
That's why. That's funny.
Just that.
They definitely, you know, other people have looked at. So there was a doctor that the priests had consulted about her health that said there is. Where's the line? Because it's kind of amazing. Mm-hmm. As a doctor, I have to say there's no such thing as possession. That's one of them. That's somebody in 2005 commenting back. One of the other doctors told them during the exorcism, there is no injection against the devil, Annalise. Oh my God. Thank you for nothing, doctor.
Shall we begin?
I'll show myself out. Goodbye.
I thought you wanted weird quotes and quips. Oh, that's not the right process.
All right. Well, that's what I'm a doctor of. Goodbye. Why I thought this business would work. I got
Who
it.
invited Dr. Comedy to the exorcism?
I guess I'll just write more poems for the German or for the RAF.
For the Luftwaffe.
Percy Prune will never be a doctor again. So do you guys want to hear a little bit about demonic possession in general, or are we feeling good about that? Okay.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So demonic possession, it's funny that you say that it doesn't exist, but it does exist in Buddhism.
Oh boy.
In Buddhism, a demon can either be a being suffering in the hell realm, or it could be a delusion. Sometimes a practitioner will go to a local Buddhist healer for treatment. So I think they feel like they're suffering in hell. Like that's not possessed like the way it's materialized in Catholic possession, but it's like they have it's so it does happen. So then they believe that the demon will depart to a different realm. But I think I wonder if that's like actual Buddhist belief or like local superstition reflected as people that are Buddhist have like incorporated
That's interesting.
But so that's that. But essentially the idea is, right, we all know demonic possession is people being like taken over by malevolent beings, demons, devils, whatever it is. And they can erase their memory, their personality, cause them epileptic fits, which I'm a little worried about, John. I got you good. So many cultures actually have some concept of demonic possession. And they go all the way back to like Sumerians, which is like, I have no idea. Is that the first culture?
I think that's the one culture they always said like saw UFO stuff.
Oh, really? So UFOs?
Yeah. They put rockets. They like drew pictures of rockets on their walls and stuff like that. So I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, so they had they also believed that all diseases of the body and mind were caused by, in quotes, sickness demons. So
okay, here we go. Yeah,
these guys are idiots. That's before like so they're like, oh shit, science.
I got gremlins in my jams.
I can't breathe.
I can't stop pooping. Uh-oh, you got one of them sickness demons. The little ground, what did you call it? The dingle dangle? Where's that cat? Get this doo-doo demon out of here.
That is crazy though, because like that one you'll never know whether or not she was actually possessed, right? Because she's now died due to the exorcisms. Like it's not like she went on to go to treatments and now she's on some drugs and she's like feeling a little bit better and now she can talk to people about it. It's like no, like during the actual bajillion exorcisms she died. So that's kind of like an unresolved case.
Yeah, it is. It's so there's a lot of like there's movies based on it. Like you maybe even heard of the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yep,
is based on that. It's based on that story.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's yeah, right. So they Americanized it, and changed the name to something that isn't hard to say. But that's what it's based on. But yeah, so their demonic possession has been in all cultures kind of since the beginning. It's very prevalent in the Christian Bible. I guess they do believe that certain people can be possessed, but it's not like it in Catholicism. It's big. It's a big thing. I mean, the data for Catholicism is like paragraphs and paragraphs of stuff, and the thing for like Judaism is like, yeah, they're kind of into it. You just read it and it goes, do Jews believe in demonic possession? And it goes, But Catholicism is like step A1, A2, A3, A4, step 2.
Oh my god.
It's like a bunch of different stuff.
They're nothing if not dramatic. My god.
Yes. And so it exists in Protestantism, which is like, I think evangelicals fall into that, right?
I think you're right, yeah.
And so like evangelicals kind of, they use it, I think they almost use it as like theater, like theatrics, instead of like, I don't think they you see people like smacking people on the head, like on a stage to get demons out of them. But I've seen people also smacking vacuums on a stage to get demons out of vacuums. So I don't know how much I believe in it. What do you guys think of demonic possession? Is it a real thing, Adam?
I think that once again, I think it's similar to ghost stories. Where I don't really believe in it. Partially because we just talked about where if it depends on religion, then how does it make sense, John?
I believe in smacking a vacuum until you get the dirt devil out.
The dirt devil.
You son of a bitch.
Dude, you knew as soon as I said vacuum, he's like, write down devil so I don't forget it.
But yeah, I don't think that I believe necessarily in demonic possession in any way, shape, or form. And I much more believe in mental illness and the fact, like you said in the beginning too, that the family situation with the other kids and the kid that died at the age of 8 and that kind of stuff too. Like,
yeah.
I think there's huge, like, strange ramifications for weird events that happen in a child's, adolescent stages.
Absolutely,
so I much more believe in that.
Yeah, right. There's the not pseudoscience, but psychology behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the demon's goal? Like, what's the end game here? Like, just every few years or so, like, snag one random human, chill out for like 7 weeks or 67 days or something, and that's it.
The idea, right? Maybe I don't know. So based on my extensive movie watching, there is an ongoing battle between heaven and hell, and the human race is where they fight that battle, right? So there's
maybe
based on the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves.
That's not research.
Yeah.
Do you believe in the devil? No. You should. He believes in you. Thank you, Keanu.
I'll tell you what, that movie's one of my guilty pleasures. I watched it a lot.
I knew it.
Yeah,
I knew it.
I like it. It's fun. It's based on a comic book.
Never seen it.
No.
However, I will say that I think, in my opinion, I don't think that would be the case for if there were really devils or demons taking over people. I feel like it takes place in people that are exhibiting some kind of like overzealousness towards religion or overzealousness towards something, whatever, that crosses them over a particular threshold where the demon or devil could technically possess them based on how intensely they believe something.
Right, because there's like a fine line between having too much faith. Like you can almost go so far that it's like, well, this person's really easy to be possessed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's if you're a demon, you're like, well, I'm going to take the guy, like, you're not going to take the guy who's, like, on the fence. You're going to take the guy who's, like, super hardcore, like, faithful, right? Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Like, as a show of strength? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, if you're trying to win, you got to take out the general, right? Like, you got to, like, if you're fighting a battle on Earth, you know, you go for the top dog, you know?
First day in prison, punch the biggest guy.
Right?
Right? Same scenario.
So in this case, a 23-year-old girl.
Well, she started out at 16, so good job, demon, you idiot. Good job, Hitler.
This is why they always lose. I mean, it just, you know.
Yeah. Well, there's the balance.
Good job, Hitler.
Well, it was Hitler. I don't really know who Nero is. I know he something burned, right? Nero did something burning. Did he burn something? Who's Nero?
Yeah, a character from the Bible?
No. But Judas is. And that's somebody else that they said.
I thought Nero was like a person, like Roman emperor.
Nero was an emperor.
Roman emperor.
The last Roman emperor.
The last Roman emperor.
Of the Julio or Julio Claudian. Oh, God. I can't even read that. It's so boring.
Anyway,
I think Justin's speaking in tongues.
I want to say one more thing about. So you said other religions there aren't there, but Islam also has possessions.
Well, come on, that one's a gimme. You know what
so
I mean?
You
like,
can,
that's just kinda...
So they have two different types, which I thought was interesting. So we have like it's just demons, devils, and it's all kind of mixed together. It's like, well, pick your pick, or Satan,
Hitler,
or
Judas,
Nero, right? Yeah. You can be possessed by Satan himself.
All right, may as well.
So he's and then you can be possessed by jinn, Jinn.
I mean, I've been possessed by jinn before, but like it's a whole other.
Yeah. So it's like genies, kind of. I think that's the same word, same base word.
Yeah, jinn is the actual technical term of genies.
Wait, so can we just guess like the things that Islam people think you can be possessed by?
Do you think we should do that on record?
Can I take one guess? George W. Bush.
Yeah, right. Possessed by the devil.
The white devil.
Damn.
I thought you were going to say something like magic carpets or something.
Jesus Christ.
Jafar.
Yeah. Iago. How can you do the voice? But there have definitely been a lot of people that were supposedly possessed by a demon, and then there have been a few people that were like they had one person named Martha Brosier that in 1950 or 1556 she was famous for pretending to be possessed by a demon. Like what? Yeah, I mean it's just she pretended, and then somebody discovered her by making her drink holy water or something.
Dude, one of the ones that the poltergeist things too I was looking at too. Some of the young kids were like convincing people that they were possessed as well, and by like throwing their voice like with ventriloquism and with altering their voice by having like malformed vocal cords and things like that too.
Gross.
So they were able to like mimic it like the noise like in real time and stuff, which was like really weird and interesting that they found that out. But yeah, in the same vein, like I think I would have believed this story a lot more if this girl, if Annalise was Like I'm possessed by like a demon or like a devil or a bunch of demons or devils, and not these specific humans that have existed in the past all grouped into one terrible person.
She did say Lucifer, so.
Oh, he was in there too. Oh yeah, he was in there too.
Bingo, bango, bongo. She
Check mate paranormal.
All right, I think
I believe it.
That's a pretty good thing to go out on. Guys, what did you think of this topic, John?
It's always interesting because, as I said, I'm a man of ration, a man of science, a man of common sense, but I am drawn into this shit like no other. Like it is just like it has to come from somewhere. All of it. Ghosts. Well, the Gremlins thing, that was sort of a downer actually. I was like, oh, all right, that's it. That's typical British. But like how British of them. But like exorcisms and ghosts, like this stuff, like it just keeps happening somehow. Like no matter what, we get more and more like scientific and rational, but like things like this just keep like showing up. And so it's coming from somewhere. I don't know where. So
do you think so, Adam, what did you think of this topic? And then I kind of have something to talk about to John, what he just said.
Similar. I think it's very interesting. I don't usually look into this kind of stuff. I think a lot of it's interesting when I hear about it, but I don't usually go out and research it on my own. That being said, similar to the kind of the stories that we've just talked about before, and even the last podcast, I liked researching it a lot, and I found the stories to just be interesting because I like interesting stories more than anything. So kind of the inception of an idea, kind of how it evolves over time, and how it gets received by the public and what it turns into is always an interesting evolution.
Cool. Yeah, John, I agree with that. Yeah, I didn't know what I was going to find because we started researching ghosts, and it was kind of like in the first day of looking at the subject, John, you actually found a really compelling story and you told it well, but I started looking and I was like, okay, all of these are basically 2 sentences. There is a ghost that throws plates, and I'm like, all right, next. There is a ghost that slams doors, next. And what story is there to it? Well, it's a ghost, and some people think it's a woman, and she has this headband on, and it's real stupid. Oh. But I think you said, how does this keep happening, right? And it's like, I think it's like the way people explain something they can't explain in any other way. So they like kind of concoct a story because like your brain is like a pattern machine. And so it's going to find things that you don't understand and try to like map them to things you do understand. Mm-hmm. Right.
It's true.
I mean, in some instances, like picturing a person floating across your bed and stealing, rave wear. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they were just hallucinating from lack of sleep because that thing definitely happens.
Yes.
But I thought this topic was awesome. I don't think this will be the last time we delve into the paranormal because it's a very broad topic and there's a lot more to talk about. I think a lot of. Cool
I just want to talk about. I mean, as much as I just want to bring up the movie Cat's Eye as much as I can. I feel like it's an underrated. Just like if you're a kid of the '80s, you really should know about this movie. James Woods is in it.
Oh, really? I've seen it, but it's been literally probably 30 years since I've seen it.
He plays a guy who's trying to quit smoking, and it turns bad. Oh, I didn't want to spoil anything for you, sir. There's a cat involved with it too.
Oh yeah, the cat takes up smoking. I think that's probably going to be how we wrap up the episode. You boys have fun? I did. And I have one more thing to add, if that's okay with you guys. Absolutely.
Great movie title. No, hold on. You haven't heard me out yet.
I swear to God, it's Cat's Eye.
It's a movie that stars a cat and quitting smoking. It's called Cat Patch Fever. I'm sorry.
This episode is sponsored by Dust Devils.
Yeah. All right. So if you want to get in touch with us, we'd love to hear your ideas. You can reach us at show@researchanddestroypodcast.com. You can find us online on the web at researchanddestroypodcast.com. And you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/researchanddestroypodcast. You can also subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, and you can listen to all of our episodes on our website. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
It's your story now. You decide what is right.